Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Valga, back with some more artwork. And last week's drawing that I made, here's a full screen preview for you. This is what I drew. Well, it's a little more finished than it was from last week. But yeah, it looks like this now. And I quite like the experience of, I would say, squiggling around, just scratching around to make this sketch. Oh, this is I don't even know if it's a sketch anymore at this point. This is like 4 or 5 hours later, like ish. I'm not quite sure how long it took me. Like, this is not exactly a thing that I aimed to finish, you know? Like, this is just the type of drawing that I would come back to every time I would feel like creatively exhausted by doing a bunch of other drawings. So this is like the drawing in between other drawings just to help me relax. And yeah, it's almost finished, and I feel like I haven't really explained much about what I did before, how I drew this. All of this is done by hand, by the way, like no special leaf brushes, grass brushes. It's all drawn by hand, and I think I'll show you briefly how I would normally draw this. And let's start right now. I think I'll make a duplicate of this one. This is all drawn in one layer, by the way. The reason I have more variations down here is so that I can export each and every one of them, just so I have like a progression shot. It's just so I can show people on social media, but like once I'm done with posting them on social media, I think I'll just delete, because the time lapse is what matters, I guess. So for the foreground, I think more grass like this would be good for the foreground, because the foreground is looking kind of empty. And I will be explaining how I'm doing this later, but for now I'll just draw for you in real time. And yeah, this is how I would normally draw grass. And this technique I'm using, it's quite convenient. It's kind of like, I guess I can say I actually am drawing every single blade of grass. But the benefit is I don't have to think about it, because all I'm doing really is just making the same sort of repetitive strokes over and over and over. And I think this area over here needs some more grass. And by the way, how I'm doing the grass is the same as how I did the leaves on the trees. But how I'm doing the grass, you can do it with rocks, metallic objects. You can do it with fur. Like, you know how sometimes dogs or like foxes or like raccoons, they can have a very fuzzy looking fur, especially around their necks and tail. You can use the same technique to draw all of that. And I've shown this before on Reddit, and I've had people call this cross-hatching. I'm not really sure if it's cross-hatching though, because it's more like, it's closer to zigzags than it is to cross-hatching. Because, well, I mean, I'm not making anything that's crisscrossing, you know? And What I'm doing here in the foreground with the grass, I don't think I will do in the grass in the background over here, because it's meant to be so far away that you won't be able to see much of the detail anyway. But this area here where the ground becomes a cliff, I do think it needs some more fuzzy looking, just patches, clumps of grass. So I'm going to erase with the exact same brush, the exact same size. By the way, you can do this with any brush. If you have a favorite brush, you can do that. You can use that, because this isn't like a brush that specifically makes leafy or grassy looking strokes. I mean, this is just a regular, like, hand drawing brush. I mean, it's just like a pencil brush, you know, like it's not automatically making like leafy or grassy looking marks on my canvas. You can use any brush you want. If you have a favorite one, use that. But if you want to use this one that I'm using, this is one of my very own brush packs. It's literally called hand drawing brush pack. And check the description if you'd like to know more about it, where to get it. I have it in my Gumroad store. Links also in the description. You can download it. Got a bunch of free brushes in there. Ones you can pay for too. This one's from my brush pack called Hand Drawing. And the brush itself is called the Subtle Sketching Brush. It's this one, you see? That's the one. Making grass with it and erasing with it too. If you have your own personal brush, I would recommend one. I would recommend adding texture to it, just so it looks natural, like it's made of pencil, like what I'm using now. And yeah, I think I did quite a nice job with making the foreground look busier, because it was looking kind of bare. And leaving the background sort of looking bare, because having more detail in the foreground just makes more sense. And I think I will... Oh, by the way, you have a good look first at these marks. These marks look the exact same as what I did on the grass. And let me show you more examples. Oh yeah, here's a preview of grass that I've drawn. This is another drawing, but it's the same technique. And instead of using just black on white, this is using, well, to start with, of course, the black, but also like a bunch of different types of greens. And I'm not shy of using black. I like to use black. I like having elements of my drawing looking black. Here's another version of the same thing. You can clearly tell the same technique that I've been using for this tree here. It looks very similar. If you look at the shading even, where I've used color, it definitely looks like I'm using the same technique. Also, this bush behind the tree is drawn using the same technique. And you can use this technique for a lot of things. Like, for example, shingles on the roof is using the same technique. This roof that's made of like straw and hay is drawn using the same technique. And even the portion here on top where it sort of looks like it got tied up over here, right? It got fastened, and the hay ends here in a circular shape. Yeah, this part over here is like super black, and this part here is not so much, but it's using the same technique, really. I'm just not pressing as hard over here, and I'm pressing harder down here. That's the only difference. And I mean, I've used it again for these trees in the back of this one house, shading this entire rooftop. See, even though it's almost entirely black, just like hidden in shadow, it's actually using the same technique. And the technique itself is pretty much zigzags. So this is what I'm doing. If I'm pressing hard all the time, this is what it looks like. But I first learned how to do this using a pencil, like graphite, like a 2B pencil. I think it was a Faber-Castell, a very smooth pencil. Or was it what's the other one? The other brand? The blue one. I don't remember. But anyway, it's if I'm drawing like normal, like pressing harder downwards, and then when I pull it back, I'm not pressing as hard, I will get the same amount of opacity as I would get if I were to use a normal pencil, you know? And even though it's just zigzags, if you make lots of them, you can achieve all sorts of effects. And for example here, I've drawn out a sketch of this tree, and if I were to draw leaves, I would do it like this. So zigzags, hang on. And I will skip ahead just so you won't have to look at the full duration, because you don't want to look at that, you know, like it's gonna take too long. And this simple act of just erasing, laying down strokes and erasing them using the same exact technique over and over and over can really end up giving you a very convincing looking patch of leaves. So also, I forgot to mention, it's a good idea to keep in mind where the light's going to come from. And in this case, it's coming from over here. So I'm supposed to hide more stuff over here in shadow. right here. And it might be a good idea to add like an extra patch of leaves down here that's completely in shadow. And also try not to make the zigzags look too, like, try not to make them look like this, you know, otherwise you're just making like a, I don't know what even to call this, you're making like a mass instead of a zigzag. They're supposed to be spaced further apart instead of doing it like this. So what I'm doing is like actually just zigzags, like no, look, if you pay close attention, it's really just zigzags, no tricks here. It's just a bunch of zigzags. And I wish I could say there's quite a neat trick that you can keep in mind, or like a way of thinking that you can keep in mind to make sure you're doing this right, but really 99% of the time I'm just endlessly making zigzags until I like how it looks. And I'm making this one here that's in the distance. Here I'm adding an extra patch of leaves hidden completely in shadow. And just let's see how this looks without the sketch enabled. Okay, this looks very fuzzy. Like the entire thing is made of, it's like, I don't even know what to call it. It's just very fuzzy. I wonder if I can, hang on, just turn this area in here in the center very much just black, like completely in shadow, and then I would like bring out like a branch like this. Yeah, this is cool. And then hide some more of it in shadow. And let's bring out more leaves here. And this is the importance of pressing lightly. You can do this with real pencils too. So you can add more shadows, more details when the marks just barely show up. Or more like barely produced, because I'm just not pressing hard. So instead of making obvious zigzags, I'm just adding detail. Oh wow, that didn't take long at all. And I think, okay, I'll just add a branch here. Maybe this could be like a really short tree. and maybe the shadow can reach all the way down here. And then the rest is just in light. And it might be darker down here too, because the closer it gets to the ground, the bark of the tree just very often just seems darker. See how I did the shadow in the back here on this side? It's using the same technique. It's right side. Oh, let's keep it there. I'll even add grass down here for you. Still just a bunch of zigzags, like never-ending zigzags. You can draw this, you can use this method for everything. You can color this way too. And that tree drawing that I did, that I showed you earlier with the bridge, I'll just show you this one. This is the one. If you want me to color this, turn it into a tutorial, go ahead and let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. Because yes, you can color also using this technique, but instead of just using black and white all the time, you'd be using color. And a lot of the grass on the left is more black and more in shadow, because remember the light is coming from this direction, so a lot of the grass that's hidden in shadow is actually in the back over here. There. That's how I did all of these trees. All of these trees, the grass, soil. It's just a bunch of zigzags. And that's going to be it for this, I would say, very easy to understand and brief tutorial, for it being almost entirely real time. Hopefully you learned something. And if you have any questions, anything that you don't understand, you can ask me in the comment section and I will answer, because I always read and reply to comments. And you can check me out on social media, links are in the comments. You can check out my brushes. I have more tutorials in my channel too. And don't forget to subscribe. And I'll be seeing you again in next week's video. Oh my god, I gotta stop doing this. It can get quite addicting by how it just... the more I draw this, the better it looks, so I really need to just stop, because if I keep going, this will end up looking like photorealistic. But yeah, I'll be seeing you again next week, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.